Iceberg. Alright, so I'm at a place called Lansell Meadows, and essentially what happened here was the Vikings came here. This is the actual first archaeological site that was encountered in Canada. It was the Leif Erikson Viking who came here, and they basically they did this. So all these little sites here, all of them used to be pieces of property, pieces of like huts and whatnot. When the archaeologists discovered this, they actually discovered that it was burnt down. They don't know who burnt them down. They figured the Vikings did it before they left. The only reason they found out there were Vikings here is because someone dropped a little pin that you'd have to cover your, or to clasp your garments together, basically. And that's the only way they found out that Vikings made this space. So it's pretty cool. Also, listen to this guy speak.
When out of there, the crew would have been gone. The crew would have left. The crew wouldn't have stayed.
Yeah.
But these people left, but it was Thorvald's own fault. They went and they killed a few people, and then went back home. So then the other people came, and there were boats coming around the headlands, skin boats, arrows swarming through the air like bees, it says. But if Thorvald had left them alone a couple of days before.
So is that the Micmac or who?
I don't know.
Yeah.
The ancestors of some of those people, I'm sure,
Right.
but I don't know. I wouldn't be able to say who.
It's just so interesting to immerse yourself in something that occurred like 1,000 years ago. It's not really any way to explain it. You just, like, they had interpreters and stuff like that. They're just sitting there talking about all this stuff, like the guy I just showed you. And there's nothing like it. I'm sure you'd go to like Denmark or Scandinavia, you'd get a taste of Norse Vikings, but to have this as the only place in Canada that this occurred, other than Labrador, is just something else. And yes, by the way, that is snow behind me. Remember that time in Lord of the Rings when they're getting chased by those dudes on those creepy like wolf dog things? This entire place reminds me of it. I forget what they're called. Honestly, they probably could have shot like half of the scenes in the Lord of the Rings on Newfoundland. They probably chose New Zealand because it's a little warmer. I was gonna put this in another part of the vlog into this vlog, but there's a little something I want to address, and I feel like now would be the best time to do it. So let me get over to these Muskoka chairs here. So I've been on the road for about a week now, and everybody I've talked to on the ferry, everybody I've talked to in Newfoundland, everybody I've talked to in Nova Scotia, Quebec, etc., they've all been over 50. Now I know it's a tough time for young travelers to travel due to the fact they have the student debt and potentially paying off car loans. And if you really think about it, if you really want to travel to places like Nova Scotia and places like New Brunswick and whatnot, it's only like a 16 to 17 hour drive from Ontario, and it's really striking for me to notice that I haven't met a single person my age here in Newfoundland or the ferry and stuff like that. I know it's tough for every student, every young traveler that wants to travel because of all the stuff I just listed, but at the same time, I'm gonna tell you what I did to do this, and I sold most of my material belongings to be able to do what I'm doing right now. And the theory I have behind it is that the more stuff you have, the less happy you are. The more experiences you have, the more fulfilling life has become for you. Now, I was talking to a dude on the ferry, and he's from Southern Ontario, and he owns a cottage off of Georgian Bay, and there's massive cottages on Georgian Bay. And he had a neighbor from America who owns this huge cottage up in Georgian Bay, but he never sees the guy. So one day he said that the guy and his family came up to the cottage one weekend, and the guy I spoke to asked him where he is all the time. And the guy's response was, well, he's working all the time paying off this cottage. Now, I'm not saying, sell your cottage. I'm not saying never buy a cottage. I'm never saying all that stuff. I'm just trying to point out the fact that the more stuff you have, the bigger stuff you have, the bigger cars, the bigger, houses, the bigger life, the big, flashy, materialistic stuff, the less you'll be able to do things like travel, explore, and meet people. And the reason I'm talking about this in the vlog is just because I'm utterly surprised at how many young people aren't traveling. They aren't getting out, they're not exploring. And I know it may scare some of you to do this. I was scared to do this alone, and I've, like I said, been doing it for like 5 days now, and it's awesome. So here's some advice for people who are like my age. I'm 24. So people my age, don't spend your money on stuff. Spend it on experiences. Sure, you may want that Xbox or that new video game or that nice car or that nice house. But once you get to that point where you have a mortgage and you have a full-time job, you're stuck. You can't get out and experience places. You can't do things. You can't adventure because you're stuck there paying off the stuff that you have. And I know what a few of you are thinking, Nick, you're crazy. It's just tough to be able to do this stuff. And I completely understand it. I got very fortunate with where I am right now doing this. But honestly, if you don't want to hear my opinion, hear this. Okay, so I've met these lovely American travelers named Marilyn and Bob, and I've asked them what to tell the young traveler to do. What's the best advice you guys have?
I think the most fun we've had is when we've asked people questions.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Well, I guess what I would say is just have fun. I did the same thing when I was your age, although I hitchhiked across the country and across Canada. And we met a lot of good people, and
yeah.
It's just a lot of fun.
Seriously, no, it's awesome.
You don't need money to have fun.
Precisely, you don't need money to have fun.
Which is lucky because he doesn't have any.
Yeah, I don't have any either, to be honest with you. Even that couple, they were over 50 and they were traveling. And everybody I've met has been over 50 and have been traveling, and they always tell you to do it while you're young. I'm hoping all my friends who are paying off their student loans or paying off their student debt, who are paying off, everything, I hope you can get out before your 30s and travel. And I'm not saying go do it now. I'm not saying travel now. I'm saying do what you have to do in order to travel, in order to get where you want to go. But just do it. I'm not saying all this stuff to scare people or to, get people to just drop what they're doing right now and doing this. I'm just trying to inspire people to get out, trying to motivate you to get out and do the stuff you want to before you turn 50 or 30. Because once you settle down, that might be it for you. You just never know. Like, I was talking to one of the interpreters, his name was Ethan, and he literally comes here and works in the Viking place and just speaks to people for a living, and he's on a 6-month contract. And in that 6 months, he just goes and travels. There are opportunities, there are ways where you can do the stuff you want to do and not be stuck in a dead-end job. You just gotta find it. You gotta plan for what you want. I'm going to end this mini rant by saying this. Due to the change in technology and how fast we're accelerating in that area of economic advances, there will always be a new car, there will always be a new Xbox, a new video game. But the world's changing so much right now with climate change and global warming and all of the wars and all of the, terrorism and all that stuff. You just never know what experience you might lose on if you just pay for all that stuff and not think about your experience, about your traveling. So I guess you could say the moral of the story is to just maybe hold off on buying all of that materialistic stuff and maybe invest in traveling and experiences, because they'll last forever. Whereas nowadays you get a laptop every week basically, you know? So thank you for listening to me talk for about 5 minutes there. I'll end the vlog here and I'll see you on the next adventure. I also forgot to mention anybody who was expecting this vlog to be the fun one. I'm sorry. It was supposed to be, but then I went on that mini rant there. So the next vlog, the 4th vlog that I'm gonna do is gonna be the fun one.